Hi everyone, I'm Connie Roberts.
And I'm Tracey Trenery.
We're here at Chestnut Hill Nursery and we're going to talk about gardening topics.
That's right, Connie. I have a lot of information to share with you today about pollinators and about native plants. Those are two really hot topics right now, so stay tuned.
Tracey, let's talk pollination. What exactly is that?
Sure. Pollination literally is when the pollen granules move from the male part of the flower to the female part of the flower. Now that can happen through, within the flower itself, through movement of a pollinator, or from wind, water, moving the granule through the air or through water to another plant.
So Tracey, bees are a part of pollination.
Correct. Bees are probably the most well-known pollinators. Not the only ones though. Think of anything that moves from plant to plant to plant. So moths are pollinators, flies are pollinators, butterflies, birds.
Tracey, why are pollinators important?
Well, the number one reason, Connie, is food. This affects everyone. Everyone eats. We all need food to survive. To put that in perspective for you, or to quantify the importance of pollinators, 80% or more of our plant-based foods require pollinators.
Wow, that's a huge amount.
Yeah, it sure is. Another big reason why pollinators are important is the fact that they help in the reproduction of non-edible plants as well. All the plants that you see out in nature to some degree require pollination. And they help to clean the air, they stabilize soil through their extensive root systems, and they help to support other wildlife by providing food and shelter.
You never think of all of that. We just take for granted, and especially this time of year, we all complain about the pollen on our cars and not being able to open the windows because it blows inside. But there's a whole process taking place that's necessary, basically our survival.
That's very true, Connie. Let's talk about pollinators in your home landscape. You have a very extensive, or a pretty big vegetable garden, don't you?
Yeah, we do.
And what do you do about controlling insects or pests or fungus in your vegetable garden? Do you do anything?
I don't spray any chemicals.
Okay.
I haven't really had a problem. I have a deterrent, so I plant wildflowers outside of my garden, right on a line, like marigolds and some black-eyed Susans, just some different things. And that seems to work, and I go out every day to check on things.
Well, we can't deny that sometimes you get pests in your garden that you have to deal with, and it's not feasible to deal with them other than chemical controls. So some of the things that you can use in your vegetable garden or around plants, not necessarily vegetables, but flowering plants, perennials, shrubs, that are okay to use if you still want to encourage pollinators. Insecticidal soap is probably one of the best ones. It works on contact. We call it, in the trade, we call it a contact kill. That means no ingestion is necessary. The bugs don't have to eat it in order for it to affect them. And these insecticidal soaps are generally comprised of potassium salts, of fatty acids. Once they dry, they're non-toxic to the pollinators.
When is it the best time to spray?
That's a great question. For many reasons, either dusk or dawn is generally the best time to spray. For one, pollinators generally aren't active during that time, and in general, we tell people when the sun's out and you spray a liquid on that leaf surface, a lot of times the sun magnifies that and then you get spotting or burning in that particular area. But as far as the pollinators are concerned, you want to consider when they're the least active and give drying time, because some of these insecticides require them not being wet anymore to not affect the pollinator.
So you need to know the instructions, because what if you need to water your garden first and then spray?
Correct.
So now I hear about neem oil, and it's been in the past few years. What is that all about?
Okay, so neem oil is a general purpose insecticide and fungicide. So it appeals to a lot of people because it covers a wide range of problems or garden issues. You follow the same practices though when you spray. You want to make sure that you spray dusk and dawn when the pollinators are least active. And also, if you can manage to spray when a plant is not flowering, that's helpful too, because obviously the pollinators are going to go after the flowers, and if there's no flowers on it, then they're not going after that plant.
Okay.
The last control I'd like to bring up is Bt. I'm going to point this out because studies show that it exhibits very, very low toxicity to bees, but it does pose a problem for butterflies and moth larvae. So when you're trying to encourage that, you want to make sure you avoid spraying their host plants, like things like milkweed. So I just wanted to point that out, that you should be aware of the effects of what you're spraying.
Now, as far as landscape plantings go, I look around and see many plants blooming in our natural surroundings. Is it really that important for us to have plants in our landscape that attract pollinators? And if so, what are the best plants to include?
Well, you're full of great questions today, Connie. Actually, we're going to talk about the role of native plants in the landscape and the natural surroundings when we come back from this break. So stay tuned.
First Northern Bank & Trust is your local loan specialist for both personal and business needs. Our local decision makers offer fast approvals and customized financial solutions, helping you reach your goals. First Northern Bank & Trust combines friendly service with the latest technologies to make banking quick, easy, and convenient. We continue to grow in Carbon, Lehigh, Monroe, and Northampton counties, serving you with 11 local branches. First Northern Bank & Trust, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
And now, a message from R.J. Groner.
UV light system, ultraviolet light or ultraviolet germicidal lights, which are designed to kill the bacteria, the viruses, the molds, the things that are in your airstream that you're breathing every day. So especially when you're locked in the summer because it's hot and you're running your air conditioning, or in the wintertime, you want a way to filter and clean that air. So these products that are on the market nowadays are fantastic at doing that job and relatively affordable.
Whether it's an installation or emergency repair, call us at 570-421-7260.
Sonia's Sweet Inspirations will help you blow your guests away with elegant cakes, cute cupcakes, specialty desserts, and more. Reader's Choice Award winner for Best Wedding Cakes. Sonia's Sweets are just that, sweet. Stop by North 9th Street, Stroudsburg to try a new fresh dessert today. So come by to Sonia's Sweet Inspirations at North 9th Street, Stroudsburg. Check us out at soniassweetinspirations.com and follow us on Facebook.
Welcome back to Pocono Landscape Challenge. Tracy, we're talking native plants, but where did you get all your knowledge about all of this?
So my background is actually, I went to Delaware Valley College and I studied environmental landscape design. And basically what we learned was that, when you go in to build a home, don't just clear cut the land, have respect for the land and, decide where your house is gonna go, position that and decide how far out from there you wanna go with clearings. Obviously a house needs circulation. Be respectful, mindful to the hydrology of the land, the soil type, and of course then follow up with planting native plants. Now, working and being in the real world all this time, you've learned, like anything else, it's about balance. So it's great, that's generally where my heart is, to use native plants that are indigenous to our area, but sometimes that's not feasible, or it's not 100% feasible. Sometimes native plants can tend to look a little scraggly. Landscape in general is not a maintenance-free thing, you know that.
Right.
And native plants can sometimes tend to be inappropriate for foundation plantings around the house. So just like anything else, it's really important to put the right plant in the right place. And there are a lot of things that have happened in the plant world where they have modified these plants through cultivars, varieties, different hybrids to make native plants more desirable for foundation plantings. And that's what I wanted to do now, is I wanted to highlight some of those plants for you. First, I'll explain to you the difference between a cultivar and a variety, and then I want to show you some examples. So if you want to take a look around, we could do that.
Okay.
So cultivars and hybrids are plants that have been genetically improved to have better attributes so that they survive and thrive in the landscape. mean, literally by definition, a cultivar is a type of plant that involves human intervention to create hybrids from a parent plant. And a variety is a type of plant that requires no human intervention and grows naturally. And if grown from seeds, they're true to type. So basically, you could plant 2 tomatoes in your garden, okay? And they could be 2 different tomatoes. If you loved one of those tomatoes this year, you technically can't take a seed from that plant and it will be just like that tomato because it probably cross-pollinated with the other one. Like, let's just say you have a big boy and a better boy. They will cross-pollinate on their own. So that's no human intervention, basically. But when there is human intervention, it's generally because there is a characteristic of a plant and they purposefully crossbreed them. So
Wow.
you can crossbreed them in your own garden and not even mean to. But if you specifically loved a particular tomato and you planted like 3 varieties and you saved seeds from that, you never know what you're gonna get because they could have crossbred.
Oh, I didn't know that. Tracy, can you give me examples of native plants that have different varieties?
Sure, we have we have a lot of them, but I'm going to feature ones that I think are most important. We're going to start with inkberry holly. So inkberry holly is a native plant. The native variety can grow up to 12 foot, and it's native from Nova Scotia to Florida. Now, do you want a 12-foot shrub in front of your house?
Probably not.
Probably not, exactly. So there's a variety called shamrock inkberry holly. So the genus and the species is still the same, but they modified it so that it's a more compact plant and it only grows to about 5 foot. Now, same thing, just like everything else, it needs maintenance, but it's not going to get to that 12-foot height. So I wanted to highlight that, 1, because it's obviously native, and 2, because it's evergreen. That's a nice evergreen shrub to use.
How about a flowering plant? Do you have any nice flowering plants around?
Absolutely. So, in my opinion, one of the most underused native flowering shrubs is sweetspire. It flowers a little bit later, like early to mid-summer, has fantastic fall color if it's planted in the sunlight. Now, a native sweetspire grows along the East Coast and as far west as Texas. The native plants can get up to 8 foot tall. Same thing, you probably don't want an 8 foot tall plant close to your house. In some cases, yes, but in most cases, people like that 3 to 4 foot height. So Proven Winners actually has a variety called Fizzy Mizzy. So it has all the great attributes of the native plant. However, it only gets 2 to 3 feet tall by 2 to 3 feet wide. So, like I said, you have a flowering plant later than most plants, white flowers in early to midsummer, and if planted in full sun, the fall color is absolutely fantastic.
So Tracy, one of my favorite perennials is the black-eyed Susans.
And that's great because that is actually a native plant, and that's one that I wanted to highlight for you today. Most of the black-eyed Susans that have the larger flower on them, they're better for warmer zones than ours. But there's a new variety called Dakota Gold, so it's Rudbeckia hirta Dakota Gold, and it's one of the larger flower ones that tolerates our zone. It's hardy to zone 5. So those are the types of things that they do to plants to make them more desirable and more readily available to a wider range of people. So that being cold hardy in our zone is great because it gives us more selection in the black-eyed Susan family.
Now, the one thing that's great about them too is some of them flower for a short period of time, but then they're still green. You still have green in your garden.
Yes, that's absolutely right. And they also help to feed the birds. So if you leave the flower on there when it's starting to fade, the seeds are in the center of that plant and the birds will eat it. Now on the flip side of that, they fall on the ground and they may lay there dormant over winter and germinate next spring. That sounds good, but a lot of times those plants don't flower. So you have to weed them out just to keep your parent plant, your original plant, there in place and avoid having it spread a lot of low-growing leaves along the ground.
Now, do you have to do maintenance with perennials? Do you cut them down so that they grow maybe bigger?
Well, what you want to do with your perennials is cut them down to about 2-3 inches in the late fall. And then what happens is the root system survives and you don't see anything on top, and then in the springtime you start to see the plant emerge again from the same root system.
So early spring I tend to see white flowering trees.
Yes, so that is probably serviceberry. That is one of the earliest flowering plants. And that's another one, in my opinion, that's an underused plant. So serviceberry is basically native all over our country. The genus is the same, Amelanchier, but then the species is different throughout the country depending upon where you are. But it's great because especially the multi-stem varieties, they flower early. They're a thin, wispy tree, so it's not too overbearing, and the fall color on them is absolutely fantastic. So that's a plant that I feel like a lot of people don't really know about, don't know that it's native, and it's very underused. Everybody goes for the cherries, weeping cherries, flowering cherries. They have such popularity, but the Amelanchier tends to be underused in my opinion, and it's such a beautiful plant.
So you really need to plan out your landscaping. This is why your knowledge is so important to explain to people how using these plants they get enjoyment spring, summer, and the fall season. Absolutely,
and the best results. I mean, native plants tend to be hardier in our area just because they're indigenous to this area, and it's just nice to be able to use them and see their true beauty in the landscape.
So Tracy, how do you know how to plant a tree in the proper place?
Well, we're going to talk about that next, not just about trees, but plants in general, picking the right plant for the right place to get the most out of your landscape.
Isn't it time for you to start enjoying your backyard just like you see in the magazines and on TV? Hi, I'm Jim Skakoza from Chestnut Hill Nursery, and we're here to help. For over 40 years, we've been creating beautiful landscapes for folks just like you. You can count on us to build it right the first time and create a long-lasting project that'll provide a lifetime of memories. Imagine a new patio, fire pit, or outdoor kitchen. Then complete the scene with amazing outdoor audio and lighting. Together we can dream it, design it, and our expert team can build it. So go to chnursery.com to set up your free consultation. Make this the season you turn those dreams into reality. Start planning that first party now.
Sonia's Sweet Inspirations will help you blow your guests away with elegant cakes, cute cupcakes, specialty desserts, and more. Reader's Choice Award winner for Best Wedding Cakes. Sonia's Sweets are just that, sweet. Stop by North 9th Street, Stroudsburg to try a new fresh dessert today. So come by to Sonia's Sweet Inspirations at North 9th Street, Stroudsburg. Check us out at soniassweetinspirations.com and follow us on Facebook.
Well, Trace, I know people probably come in and say, these are so cute.
They do, they absolutely do. And honestly, this is one of the, arborvitaes are one of the most improperly used plants. People look at this and they think that's gonna look really cute next to their front porch. And they don't realize that this actually turns into that over there and even bigger. And then after a while, they're cutting it down. So, planting the right plant, whether it's a native plant or a non-native plant, planting the right plant in the right place is pretty important.
So some plants last about 10 years, 15, right, in a landscape, but some trees last longer. So you want to be respectful to the plant where you're going to plant it.
Absolutely, you have that right. So there's a saying that goes something like a society grows great when an old men plant trees in shade they know they'll never sit in. When it comes to trees, trees should be a permanent part of a landscape for future generations. Shrubs, they have a longevity, they have a lifespan, and that's generally anywhere from 12 to 20 years depending. Even a well-maintained landscape has a lifespan and needs to be rehabbed after a while. But getting the landscape right from the beginning is very important, and it'll save you money in the long run and time as far as maintenance, having to prune constantly if you put the wrong plant in the wrong place.
I do like these, but I know people use these sometimes for like a a living fence as part of it.
Now that's a proper use of it. Somewhere a little bit further where it can grow to its maximum height, where you're not chopping the head off of it. Staggering them in rows with varying sizes. Deer are a big problem around here, so you have to be mindful of that. Generally speaking, the green giant arborvitae is the only arborvitae that is deer resistant. So if that's your purpose for using it, then that's the plant to use.
So you really have to plan out your landscape. You have to worry about too big, too small, whether the deer are going to eat things.
Sunshine, the light in that area, is it going to flower? Do I have interest all different times of the year? So, let's walk through what we would do with a customer. You're a customer. You come into our shop here and you have a new house, nothing around it. So let's walk through a good process of how we would help you plan your landscape.
So when you're planting around your foundation, what should we do?
Okay, so what we generally recommend is for a customer to come in, measure their house. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but it's not that difficult. Measure the perimeter of the house, or if you're just focusing on the front, just that area. Know where the windows are and how high off the ground they are, because you don't want to block some views sometimes. If you have a walkway, know the measurements out from the house to the walkway, and the length of the house, the width of the house, those types of things. That's where you get started. Now we ask them to pay attention to how many hours of sun the area gets. Generally speaking, if something is considered full shade if it never gets sun. Partial shade if it gets sun part of the day or gets some sun through the trees, like that we consider that dappled sunlight. Full sun is not necessarily from morning till sundown. Full sun is considered the afternoon sun. So if you get sun from 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock, that's the hottest sun of the day. We would pick full sun plants for those areas. So knowing what time of day the area where you're planting gets sunlight is really important, because that's a critical factor in choosing plants.
So Tracey, what's the next step?
Okay, so after that, your best bet is to come down the nursery, walk around, take a look at the plants and make notes of the things that you like. The tags on them have some general information about their size, what their mature size is. If not, the staff is more than willing to help you. Once you narrow down what you like, then you can kind of place them in your drawing and get an idea of how many plants you need, which ones are going to go where, and we can help you lay that out, your foundation planting. And foundation plantings aren't the only plantings. Sometimes people want to do a perennial garden in their backyard or a small thing off their deck. Regardless, it all starts with a sketch of knowing the dimensions and knowing what kind of sunlight you get.
So Tracey, any of the staff members here are very knowledgeable. They can help us, right?
Absolutely. It's just important if it's important to you to incorporate native plants into your plan, make the staff aware of that. But everyone here is very knowledgeable, and we're more than happy to help you lay out your landscape and plan it.
So coming up next, we're going to talk about what's trending in gardening.
One of the things that homeowners usually experience in this area is an emergency after normal business hours. Could be a weekend, could be a night, could be the 4th of July, could be Christmas, could be Easter, could be any holiday. You call RJ Groner Company, two things are going to happen. One, you're going to get a live person on the phone. Number two, you're going to get a technician out to your house 24/7. Go right to our website, rjgroner.com. You can find us on Facebook. You can call or text us at 570-421-7260. where you'll always get a live person to answer your questions. We'll get an appointment scheduled, and we'll get one of our technicians out to you.
Community. It's where we work. It's where we play. It's where you'll find First Northern Bank & Trust, offering community banking services. First Northern Bank & Trust is a family-owned and operated bank. Our local decision makers offer fast approvals and customized financial solutions. Plus, we keep your money right here in the community, stimulating local economic growth and providing jobs for our friends and neighbors. First Northern Bank & Trust, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Isn't it time for you to start enjoying your backyard just like you see in the magazines and on TV? Hi, I'm Jim Skakoza from Chestnut Hill Nursery, and we're here to help. For over 40 years, we've been creating beautiful landscapes for folks just like you. You can count on us to build it right the first time and create a long-lasting project that'll provide a lifetime of memories. Imagine a new patio, fire pit, or outdoor kitchen. Then complete the scene with amazing outdoor audio and lighting. Together we can dream it, design it, and our expert team can build it. So go to chnursery.com to set up your free consultation. Make this the season you turn those dreams into reality. Start planning that first party now.
Tracy, this was a great show because we got a lot of information, and I know these are kind of the latest trending thing that's happening too.
Definitely. These were strong last year and they continue to be strong. We expanded our selection of the smart pots. We have these raised planter beds. We have everything we had last year. There are some combo sets that you can buy. So they remain really strong. Pottery is really big. We have a great selection of pottery, real colorful, everything from, outdoor pottery to indoor pottery. House plants are another big thing this year. Availability is a little bit less, a little bit limited, but we still have a good selection.
Now, you have these really cute decorative things as well.
Yeah.
What do you call them? Spears?
Those are gazing balls.
Gazing balls?
Really nice garden deco. Marie's done a great job of choosing that.
Tracy, let's go over the native plants again one more time.
Sure. So native plants are something we've always carried, but you'll see we have some new posters to help you find the native plants in the garden center. So that's new that we're highlighting this year. And we also have pollinators. She's our little indicator that a plant is a pollinator. So you'll look around and you'll see the bee. Not all the pollinator items are marked, but if it does have a bee in it, it is a pollinator. So since that's trending, we wanted to highlight some of those plants as well. If you look in the store, we still have a lot of local crafters. We have the Jody Fry pottery, we have the local honey from Touch for Health, and we also have Mrs. C's dressing. So we're still carrying those items to support local vendors, which we're really proud to do.
So Tracy, you also have all the other supplies that go with gardening as well?
Absolutely. We still have topsoil mulch. We do have a new topsoil product. It's very difficult to get peat moss. There's a national shortage. So we have a new product called Quaddy, and that's something just like the peat moss. You mix it in with the soil. So that's new for this year. But everything else, we still have the same items. The Coast of Maine potting soil, which is great, Miracle Grow potting soil. Everything you need to garden.
Tracy, if people want more information, what should we tell them?
You can go online to chnursery.com, check us out on Facebook and Instagram, or come visit us in person, 1506 Route 209 in Broadheadsville.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time, right here.
I don't even know who you are.
I know, I gotta say who I am first. Tracy, how do you? Okay,
hot and sticky and spicy.
So, in Connie terms, what does that mean?
Connie has a pretty smile.
So do you. You have bees around and you're looking for some honey.
That's
And ready for me? Yeah. Oh, okay. Why are pollen? Wait, what is my question?
Yep. We're ready. Are you ready?